Every day, people are busy with their lives, chasing dreams and working hard. But there's something dangerous that most of us don't even know about. It's hidden in the ocean, moving quietly, carrying things we should be worried about. It's hard to see, hard to track, but it's out there. Like a ship, undetected, carrying a big cargo bunch, and one mistake away from changing everything. But what exactly is it? And why should we care? Stick around. The truth might surprise you. In 1993, while most people were enjoying their tea and relaxing at home, something much darker was happening just beneath the ocean's surface. Far from the peaceful streets, a hidden group was hard at work, creating something that would change the world of smuggling forever. You might be thinking, how can a submarine be used for smuggling? Well, the design of these vessels allows them to operate mostly underwater, making them nearly invisible to radar. Yes, the radar, which can detect any big or smaller fish, cannot catch these submarines. But how? These vessels are designed to stay mostly submerged, just below the water surface, allowing them to travel long distances, carry massive amounts of cargo, and remain undetected by most detection systems. The first one was discovered near Colombia's San Andres Islands, and it was nothing like anything anyone had seen before. This strange, semi-submersible vessel could carry tons of drugs and travel quietly, almost hidden beneath the water. It wasn't much bigger than a small boat, but its design made it incredibly hard to detect. As the world grew more aware of the dangers in the sky and on land, this new threat in the ocean was quietly sneaking by unnoticed. The drug cartels had found a way to avoid the law, using the ocean to their advantage. And while people went about their daily lives, this new danger was just beginning to grow, slowly and silently, below the waves. The first big catch. But things took a turn by 1993. These vessels started gaining a spotlight, but still they managed to hide and seek. Far from the peaceful shores, criminal masterminds were building these underwater cargo ships, their cargo holds packed with illegal goods. But how did the police even know about this? In 2019, the answer came crashing down. Spain's coast became the first battleground in the Atlantic for these phantom vessels. It was supposed to be just another quiet day on the water, but this time, something was different. A semi-submersible carrying 3,000 kilograms of cocaine was intercepted just off the coast of Galicia. It wasn't just any seizure, it was the first confirmed narco-sub to cross the Atlantic. The stakes had never been higher. This was a new chapter in the fight against global drug trafficking, and the criminals were winning. The submarine had been built with precision, nearly invisible to radar. Authorities thought they had no chance of catching it. But then, a fishing boat, towing the vessel, unexpectedly broke apart, its hull crumbling under the pressure of the ocean. As the pieces drifted, something was revealed, a hidden narco-sub, barely above the surface, carrying millions of dollars worth of cocaine. It was a game changer. The authorities, in a race against time, recovered pieces of the wreckage. Police divers dove into the dark, murky waters, pulling fragments of a story that would shake the world. The true purpose of the sub was uncovered. It wasn't just a boat, it was a vessel of destruction, moving drugs across the globe, unseen and unstoppable. But this was just the beginning. As the world's eyes turned toward this dark discovery, the cartels, ever more brazen, began pushing even further. The stakes were higher than ever. The narco-subs were evolving, and the authorities were only just starting to understand what they were up against. The game was changing, and no one was prepared for the explosion of chaos that would follow. As cartels adapted and grew bolder, they perfected their designs. The next generation of narco-subs was nearly fully submersible, making them nearly invisible to radar, sonar, and infrared systems. These vessels were designed to travel at high speeds, carrying up to 7 tons of cocaine, but they did it quietly, staying low and hidden. And the catch? It was like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Imagine a 22-meter sub, seized in 2023 in Spain. This sub had a carbon fiber hull and could carry 5 tons of cocaine, but it wasn't just the size or the strength of the vessels that made them hard to detect. It was their design. The only parts above water were the cockpit and exhaust tubes. You might be thinking, how could authorities catch these ghost ships? Was it even possible? By November 2024, things started to take a bait in favor of police. Colombian authorities took on the dark underworld of drug trafficking in a way that would make history. Operation Orion was launched, an operation which would shake the world to its core. In a move no one expected, they intercepted 6 narco-subs, including one heading to Australia, a place where cocaine was becoming more and more valuable. These subs could travel 16,000 kilometers without needing to stop for fuel, reaching parts of the world that no one ever thought they'd go. The results of Operation Orion were nothing short of staggering. 225 tons of cocaine, worth a jaw-dropping $8.4 billion, were seized, and 400 criminals were arrested. This was a huge victory in the war on drugs. But how did the authorities find these stealthy submarines that could hide beneath the waves? The answer wasn't in radar or sonar. The real key was intelligence, global teamwork, and unwavering persistence. They didn't give up, and that's how they finally took down the dark empire running these invisible ships. Spain wasn't just a one-off victory. In 2023, Spanish police dismantled a drug network based in Barcelona, responsible for building and hiding drugs in coconut substrate and even bathtubs. These narco-subs were constructed with such precision that they could evade inspection, making detection nearly impossible. As cartels pushed the limits of innovation, Spain kept a sharp eye on the waters. But the game was changing. Cartels weren't just using the same old methods. They were innovating faster than ever before. The narco-subs weren't just tools for transporting drugs. They were incredibly profitable, opening up new trafficking routes that were unimaginable before. While the US market was still a key destination, cartels began looking to Australia and Europe, where cocaine prices were far higher. Australia, for example, was willing to pay up to $240,000 per kilogram, 6 times more than the US. This shift in routes marked a dangerous turning point in the drug war. With fewer restrictions and more demand, these submarines became the lifeblood of international trafficking. Even as authorities ramped up efforts, cartels adapted. Crews on these vessels were trained to scuttle their subs if intercepted. In 2008, 42 narco-subs were detected by authorities, but most of them sank before they could be seized. These criminals knew they couldn't afford to get caught, and they were willing to sink their multi-million-dollar investments just to prevent evidence from being discovered. The battle between authorities and drug cartels continues to escalate. Narco-subs have evolved from simple vessels into high-tech, high-stakes operations that are almost impossible to track. Law enforcement agencies are working tirelessly to develop new methods of detection, but the smugglers continue to stay ahead. The latest interception of a narco-submarine in 2020 reveals that these vessels are still being modified and upgraded, using the latest maritime technology to outsmart authorities. The game of cat and mouse continues, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. As the technology behind these vessels improves and narco-subs grow more advanced, the question remains, will law enforcement ever truly catch up? With every interception, smugglers learn, adapt, and evolve. And the ocean? It remains their perfect hiding spot. As long as there's profit to be made, narco-subs will continue to make waves beneath the surface, and the battle will go on. The shocking truth is, these stealthy ships have become an untraceable force in the drug trade, and they're here to stay. But every successful catch, every investigation, brings us one step closer to uncovering their secrets. And the clock is ticking.